I have gotten more messages about water in the last few days. And first, let me tell you this. When I say water, I mean water. I don't mean anything other than water. One of the tips was for you to up your water. It's an absolute necessity for our body is primarily made up of water, and we have to have it for our body to function properly. There are so many of our systems that absolutely require water for you to optimally function. And I give that as one of the top 5 tips for losing weight, because if you are not drinking enough water, you will not lose weight. In fact, you can gain weight by not drinking enough water. And I know, drop the comments and complain all you want, but that's just the reality of it. I also know that it's difficult to up your water intake each day, particularly if you're not used to drinking water. And you'd be surprised at how much water you have to have. And I do realize how difficult it is. Listen, I am the person, let me kind of set some context for this. The reason I even became a personal trainer and nutritionist and got into the world of health and fitness is because I was working full time in higher education. Most of you have been around for a while, but for some of you who are new here, I'll give you a really quick, short synopsis. Just fast forward through this if you already know it. But I was in education for almost 30 years. I first taught in public school, and then I went on to get my master's and my doctorate. And after getting my PhD, I was a graduate professor in university systems, and then became a vice president of instruction at a large college here in Texas. And over the course of that time, you guys, I did exactly what I'm telling you now I help women with. I spent all of that time building a career and doing my level best to give everything I had to my employer and to my students and to the systems that I worked in. And you know, it takes a toll on your health if you cannot manage the stress and you cannot make sure that you're doing things to keep you healthy at that time. And so I was giving 1,000,000% to everybody else, but I was suffering. And during that time, my stress got way out of control. Some of you know the story of, I started having major anxiety to the extent that I was then diagnosed with severe panic disorder, and I was having panic attacks that were so severe that they thought a couple of different times that I'd had heart attacks. And so, I would go in and get tested and all of this stuff. And then in 2007, I did have a minor heart attack. Fast forward, during that time, I yo-yo dieted, which I have done my entire life. So my weight would go up and down and up and down. And even when I was at a quote unquote healthy weight, I was not healthy. I was what is often termed these days as skinny fat. So even if I was at the lower end of where my weight should be, typically being, healthy for me. And I'll tell you, people ask me all the time, I don't know why. I'm 5'7". People think that I'm way taller. I'm not. I'm 5'7". So even if I weighed in a weight range that was considered normal for my height at 5'7", I was not healthy. I was loose. I was made up more of fat than I was of muscle, even at those lower weights. I did not eat in a healthy way. The way that I lost weight was very unhealthy. So my digestion was a mess. I ended up having all kinds of colon issues. I don't even know if I've told you guys these stories, but I had to have, and I won't go into too much TMI about it, but I ended up having to have surgery because my digestion was so jacked up, you guys. I literally walked around feeling bloated and constipated constantly. Those of you, again, who've been around for a while, know that I also battled eating disordered behaviors for a number of years. And so I have been, one of the reasons that I really believe that I am an ideal coach for so many of you here is because I can relate on both ends of the spectrum. I have worn as large as a size 24 pants and been well over 220 some odd pounds, not pregnant. I have been at that end of the spectrum where I have eaten my emotions, and to the point that I ballooned up so that I felt disgusting and I was embarrassed constantly about how I looked and felt. And people thought that I was this confident person, but I was dying and crying daily on the inside. So I have been at that end of the spectrum. I have also been at the other end of that spectrum where, like I said, for years I suffered with eating disordered behaviors, and I weighed just over 100 pounds. And I share that with you now to be very transparent, because for years when I was at that size and in that mental state, that was so depressed and so anxious that I was punishing my body by starving it. I lied about my weight. Just like if you're heavy, people will tend to lie about their weight. I lied about my weight when I was at that size too, because I knew that my family and Roger too, when we actually started dating, I was in the throes of eating disordered behaviors, and I knew that they were very worried about me, and I would never ever stand on a scale in front of anyone. I can remember my mom trying to get me to stand on a scale, and I would not do it because I knew that I was lying about how much I weighed. I was barely over 100 pounds at 5'7", and size zeros and size 2 skirts and pants basically swallowed me for a number of years. So I can also relate to people who starve themselves when they get into extreme bouts of stress and depression. So it is, I really do understand the relationship with food that we have, and as females in particular, how emotional that can be and how difficult it can be to change. That is why when I work with clients, I do not just talk about food and fitness. We talk a lot about our minds and our emotional connections to food, and it has a huge amount to do with stress, the stress that we deal with as females, particularly females who are trying to advance our careers. And oftentimes we get targeted for things like having kids, for having daycare issues. So like, how do you deal with all of that, right? It creates a great deal of stress. And so that's what I do. I lived it. I learned how to overcome it, and or at least manage it when it was at its peaks. And now I teach other women how to do that. And it is absolutely my passion and purpose and mission in life to do this. I am so full of joy. Now I do this full time. I still am teaching, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about doing this, is that I still teach. I just get to do it in a whole different way, and nobody has any kind of control over what I say. I can say any fucking thing I want. So now, that's kind of how I got to where I am. And then add on like the nutritionist and certified personal trainer and weight loss certifications and those kinds of things that I have begun adding on to my knowledge base, so that I can help women in even better way, in a more improved way. And I've designed all of my own programs. So for those of you who are new here, I am not part of any company that sells supplements or memberships to workouts or any of those kinds of things. I have my own training, have my own method for eating, which is unlike anything out there on the market, and does not include any kind of counting macros or any of the gimmicky crap that you see out there. So anyway, okay, on to now the tips for water. It is, I know you feel like you're drowning. I know you feel like you're going to the bathroom a million times a day when you first start increasing your water. But let me tell you from somebody, and that's kind of where I think I went off on this tangent, from somebody who used to sit in an office and who literally went from pots of coffee at home in the morning before I even got to the office to being in my office where pots of coffee were running all day long. My administrative assistants over the years, God love them. I had wonderful, wonderful administrative assistants. But one of the things that they did for me was they kept my coffee fresh all day long, because they knew that the joke was that if I could run an IV of coffee, I would do it. I never went anywhere without a cup of coffee in my hand. And that is all I drank, you guys. Literally all I drank. Coffee and Pepsi. That's what I ran on. And I was killing myself from the inside out. But when I first started learning about nutrition and increasing my water, that was one of the very first things that I did to change my behaviors and change my lifestyle, was I learned to add water. Duh, it seems so simple, doesn't it? But I learned to add water to my intake so that my body was getting hydrated. And that is the real purpose for it. You have to hydrate your body. Now, again, you're going to feel in the beginning like you're full constantly. You're going to even hear water sloshing in your stomach, because it takes some time for your body to get accustomed to you adding fluids back to it. While it desperately needs that hydration, it takes time for you to get adjusted to doing that. So you are going to feel like you have to go to the bathroom more often. You are going to have that sloshy water feeling in your tummy. That's okay. Just keep going. A couple of the things that you need to understand is that while our body is learning to hydrate, it will eliminate a lot of the water that you drink. It won't absorb it. So that's why at first you're going to go to the restroom more often. But I promise that doesn't last forever. As your body begins to absorb that hydration into its cells, into its internal organs, and begins using it for functions like digestion, you will have less excess that you eliminate. And in fact, if you consistently increase your water intake and you consistently hydrate on a daily basis like your body needs, not only will you stop eliminating so much of it, but you will find that you can actually go to the bathroom without hurting. You actually will start going to the bathroom more regularly. And I know a lot of you ladies, you don't have to out yourselves if you don't want to, but most of my clients, when they come to me, they talk about being constipated constantly, like to the point that it's painful to have a bowel movement. It's not supposed to be painful to have a bowel movement. Now, everybody's bowel movements are going to be different. The time of day that you have them, the frequency with which you have them, not everybody has a bowel movement multiple times a day, contrary to how many times your partner, if he's male, is in the bathroom. I don't know what the hell they do in there all day long, but just because guys go to the bathroom like 5 times a day does not mean that the female body works in that way. So in each of us, some people will ask me, like, is it normal not to have a bowel movement every single day? It is. For some people, you may only have a bowel movement every other day, but if you're going days without having a bowel movement, one of the first things that you should do is increase your hydration, because think about it, you guys, your body is extracting nutrients from the food, and the waste is what your body eliminates. Well, if you have little to no hydration in your system, it's basically like trying to crap a matchbox car. I mean, come on. Hard items that you try to shit out of your body are going to hurt your anus. I'm just going to get real with you. If your body is hydrated and those toxins and those items, those things that your body needs to eliminate will be softer, and it's just going to be easier for you to get it out, and you're not going to hurt your ass. So there you go. That's as blunt as I can be about it. So as your body gets more and more accustomed to the water, it's going to start using it for things like your digestion. And that's why it's imperative for you to use this tip as a way to lose weight, because you will eliminate more of the toxins in your system when you're hydrated. Your body will absorb more of the hydration. And if you are exercising, which is, another important part, or you're moving, you're increasing your movement, your muscles need that, your cells, just everything. Just trust me. Your body needs the freaking water. So drink it. You will drop weight just increasing your water. So for those of you having extreme difficulty with doing that, I want to give you some really practical strategies for how to increase your water. Number 1, put a bottle of water or a glass of water or whatever you're going to drink. And I'm going to talk a little bit about receptacles in just a minute, but whatever you're going to use to drink, you need to track your water. So you want to have a bottle of water on your nightstand. As soon as you wake up in the morning, like literally sit up in the bed and do not stand up. Make it a rule that you do not stand up until you drink a good amount of the bottle of water. I drink a 16-ounce bottle of water every single day before I do anything else. Like literally before I go to the bathroom, I drink a 16-ounce bottle of water. So that's one tip. Put it on your nightstand. The second tip is put timers in your phone, reminders, set timers, however you want to do it, and set them for like every 2 hours or so that, and you can divide up how much water you need to drink in the day, and you can put timers and set timers and put ounces on those timers according to your body's needs. So I told you in the video that you need to drink about half of your body weight in ounces a day. That is an ideal, and it's a rule of thumb. Simple math. If you weigh 200 pounds, you need to drink about 100 ounces of water a day. That can go up or down. A couple of things that affect it are if you are exercising, if it's extremely hot, which right now we don't have that problem, but like in the summertime, if you're out doing yard work, you're out by the pool, that kind of thing, on those days you would need more than half your body weight. If you begin an exercise regimen where you're exercising more often and you're sweating, so you've got to put that hydration back in, so you need more water. And there are various other aspects to your nutrition that if you consume certain things, then you need more water when you consume certain regularly consumed foods and other drinks. So, but half of your body weight is a good way to kind of use that as a guide. Set timers on your phone, like I said. if every 2 hours you need to make sure you've drank another 20 ounces, then set an alarm for 20 ounces. And that reminder throughout the day will help to keep you on pace. That way you don't go for a stretch of 4 or 5 hours without drinking. And then you get to maybe 5 o'clock in the evening where you're off work and you're like, oh shit, all I've drank is 20 ounces today. And now you're trying to play catch up and drink, 60 or 80 ounces in the evening. That makes it more difficult for your body. It makes it more difficult for you mentally too. But the big thing is that your body is not going to regulate and use that water as efficiently if you try to guzzle it all before bed. You want to spread it out over the course of the day. So timers will help you. Another quick tip, and this goes into kind of the receptacles. And I'm not going to get into any kind of a controversy or discussion or debate with you guys about whether you should use plastic bottles or not and all that save the environment stuff. I'm a huge proponent of doing what you can to be green, but I also know the realities of some people's lives and schedules are that they need to use plastic bottles. So that's your decision, your personal decision, what you believe is the right thing to do. Yes, drinking out of glass or metal is better for you from a health perspective too. Of course, it's better for the environment. From a health perspective though, there are chemicals and toxins in plastic. I'm not going to get into all the sciencey stuff about it, and I'm not going to get too woo-woo because I am your practical coach. And again, like I said, a lot of people have a schedule where they just need the convenience of water bottles. I like the ones that are 20 ounces. This is actually, I have my stuff delivered, my groceries delivered, so it depends on what I can get my hands on in terms of delivery. These are the 16.9 ounce size. I really like the 20 ounce size bottles because it's just so much easier to track. And if I haven't said it already, you need to make sure you're tracking. Put it in your phone, make a note, whatever, on your timer, whatever, but track your water so that you can get to that amount. So 20 ounces make it really easy, right? 20, 40, 60, 80, we can all count by 20s. I don't care how math deficit you are. 16.9 ounces is a little bit more difficult to do the math in your head, but I just add a bottle and whatever. Anyway, so here's the tip. If you use these all day long, get out the number of bottles that you need for the day. So for me, I don't weigh 200 pounds, obviously, but I do make it a goal to drink 100 ounces of water a day because I do other things. I run, I lift, I work out. I'm on the go all the time. So I want to make sure I'm super hydrated. And it's also a trick. If you drink alcohol, you've got to up your water so that you can metabolize the alcohol. But anyway, that's just an aside for those of us who drink. If you drink, I don't know why I'm whispering, drop a comment because that's a really helpful tip. Anyway, so 100 ounces of water. Take a Sharpie and number the bottles. So if you have 20 ounce bottles and you're trying to drink 100 ounces a day, that means in the morning you take out 5 bottles of water, right? And this is really easy if you're at home to do this. Or if you're in your office, you can do the same thing. I used to do it all the time when I was in my office all day. Take 5 bottles out, take a Sharpie, put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on them. Leave them on your desk. Water does not have to be, and we can go into I'll go into the cold and the hot stuff later. I prefer room temperature water. It's actually easier for your body to metabolize, but I'm not going to go into all the science of that. But number your bottles with a Sharpie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the end of the day, you should have all 5 of those bottles drank, or however many bottles you need to drink. So that's a good way for you to visually keep track of what you're doing and where you are over the course of the day. If you're working from home and you go in the kitchen and you still have 3 bottles of water and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you better kick it up, get your ass in gear, guzzle up some. That's my water bottle trick. Okay, if you're drinking out of a reusable water bottle, which I also do over the course of the day, then let's say you have a 25 ounce water bottle. Your goal then is to drink that 4 times. Set a timer on your phone and make sure that you're keeping track. When it's empty the first time, fill it back up and make a note on your phone or whatever. But refill your refillable bottle and make sure that you put timers so that if you need to drink 4 of those refillable bottles and you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, spread out across the day at what time of the day would you need to have the first one drank, and then the second one maybe by 1 o'clock, and the third one maybe by 3 or 4 o'clock, and the last one is your evening bottle. However that works best for you and your schedule. But again, set timers in your phone so that you know and you don't lose track of how many times you've refilled that water bottle. Okay, and I get this a lot. It's just water, like just water. No Crystal Lights, no Splendas, no, I don't know. There's like all kinds of crap you can add to water these days, you guys. Your goal is to drink and to learn to enjoy water. Just plain water, okay? That's what your body needs. Now, so I get the question, like, why? Why not all the added stuff? Why not the sparkly stuff? Why not the flavored-y stuff? Why not? Because just in really simple terms, most of those have added either artificial sweeteners to them, or they have added chemicals to them to give you the flavoring, to give you the fake sweet feeling and taste. And it wreaks havoc on your body. It can mess up your digestion. It can actually, some of them can cause heart palpitations. There's all kinds of negative reasons and reasons why you don't want to add that extra stuff to your water. Plus, you want to train your palate. A lot of this is about training your palate. When you start to get used to drinking water and eating healthier foods, your taste actually changes, and your body, believe it or not, I know that some of you are sitting out there going, that's crap, there's no way. I didn't believe it either, but your body will actually begin to crave water. The more you drink it, the thirstier you will be, and the more you will want it. The less difficult it will be for you to get it in, because you just naturally become a person who drinks water. Like, that's your goal. You're a person who hydrates. So you won't need the timers. You won't need all these tricks and things after a while, and your body will actually cue you, and you'll begin to pay attention to those cues about what it needs. And one of them is that it will tell you that you need water and you will be thirsty. Sometimes it disguises itself at hunger. There's another little hint. When you think you're hungry, drink water. Oh, and you know, when I say only water, you know what I mean. Like, no sodas, none of that kind of stuff counts. Ounces of water are the only thing that counts when I say your guideline, track your guideline of the half of your body weight in ounces. So vodka doesn't count. That was more of a reminder to me than it was to you, I guess. But anyway, really aim for just getting in that number of ounces of water. And if you do that, it will also help you to cut out the other stuff. Because if you know that your cups of coffee aren't going to count in your total ounces of fluid for the day, you're probably going to be less likely to drink too many cups of them, because you're going to want to like have that room, if you will, and the capacity to drink your water ounces, right? So you don't want 8 ounces of coffee on top of all the water. So anyway, yes, that still means you can have the tea and the coffee with your breakfast, and that's a different day, a different tip. And